All right, everyone, get ready, because today we are going deep on Kung Food noodles.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, so I know you guys out there listening have been really wanting to know more about this Taiwanese company.
Right.
Especially their goose oil products.
Yeah, definitely lots of questions about that.
And we've got a pretty big stack of info to get through.
Yeah, we do.
Their website, press releases, even a product catalog.
Oh, wow.
It's in Japanese and English.
Cool.
So by the end of this deep dive, you'll know what makes Kungfood unique and if they have a real shot at making it big in the Asian food market.
Big question.
It is a big question.
Well, Asian food is having a moment right now, so
Oh, totally.
it's definitely interesting to see how Kung Food is going to fit into that.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're right, their focus on goose oil is definitely something that makes them stand out.
Right. It's not your average noodle ingredient.
Nope, not at all.
So what's the story there?
Yeah, why goose oil?
Like, why is Kungfood going all in on this?
Well, it's actually not as strange as it might seem at first.
Mm-hmm.
Goose oil's got a long history in some Asian cuisines.
Oh, really?
Yeah, especially in Taiwan.
Hmm.
It's prized for its rich flavor.
I see.
And it's actually considered a healthier choice than some other animal fats.
Really?
Yeah, it's high in monounsaturated fatty acids, just like olive oil.
Oh, wow. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds then.
Exactly.
Tasty and good for you.
Uh-huh.
Makes sense why they're playing that up, especially with all the emphasis these days on healthy eating.
Absolutely.
People are really paying attention to what they eat now more than ever.
For sure. And Kung Food is definitely leaning into that whole exclusivity angle, too.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, in their product catalog, they emphasize how little oil you get per goose.
Oh, interesting.
So it creates that sense of scarcity,
Yeah.
premium quality.
That's some clever marketing.
It is.
It reminds me of how they talk about saffron.
Uh-huh.
Like it's the most expensive spice in the world because it takes so much work to harvest.
Yeah, I see that.
But goose oil isn't their only thing with bird fat, right?
Yeah. Right.
They've also got that line of duck oil products.
They do.
Which makes me wonder, how do those two compare?
Yeah.
In terms of taste and how you use them?
That is an interesting question.
Yeah, and it's something that I think we should definitely keep in mind as we go through all their stuff.
Yeah, agreed.
It seems like they're not just hopping on trends.
Yeah.
They're really trying to make a specific culinary experience.
Yeah, around these less common ingredients.
Right. And speaking of their products,
Yes.
it goes way beyond just noodles.
Oh, for sure.
They've got sauces, frozen meals, even snacks.
Yeah, tons of stuff.
I saw truffle, mushroom, hot pot base, and spicy duck blood soup in the catalog.
Whoa.
Sounds pretty adventurous.
Definitely.
And did you see the fried chicken skin?
Oh, yeah, that caught my eye, too.
And there's this theme of using traditional Taiwanese ingredients and methods.
There is.
Things like bamboo salt and millet roe. So it's not just slapping on a trendy label.
Nope.
They're really rooted in their culinary heritage.
Definitely. And that's smart, considering how much people want authentic global cuisine these days.
Right. People aren't just looking for something exotic anymore.
Yeah.
They want the real deal.
The story behind the food.
The connection to a specific culture.
Exactly. And Kung Food seems to be doing a great job of tapping into that.
They're sure.
But they're not just relying on tradition to make a splash.
Right.
They're also racking up some pretty impressive awards.
Yeah, I saw that they got a perfect score from the Ramen Rater.
Oh, wow.
That's a big deal, right?
It is.
I know that blog is like super popular in the instant noodle world, but
It is.
can you tell me more about what that award means?
Yeah, so the Ramen Rater is basically like the gold standard for instant noodle reviews.
Okay.
It's run by this guy, Hans Linesh,
Okay.
and he's tried thousands of different noodles,
Wow.
and he scores them on flavor, texture, spiciness, and overall presentation.
Okay, so for Kung Food to get a perfect score,
Yeah.
it means they really nailed it on every level.
They did.
It's not just about being tasty.
Right.
It's about the whole experience.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, that puts it into perspective.
And that's not their only award.
Right. They've also been recognized by the ITI,
They have.
which I have to admit I'm not familiar with.
Oh, okay. So the ITI, or the International Taste Institute,
Okay.
is a pretty big deal in the food world.
Oh, wow.
They have a panel of over 200 professional taste experts.
Wow, 200.
Yeah. Chefs and sommeliers from all over Europe.
Oh, fancy.
I know, right? And they do blind taste tests
Oh, wow.
and rate products based on this very specific sensory analysis methodology.
Okay.
And 2 stars, which is what Kung Food has received for some of their products,
Mm-hmm.
signifies remarkable taste.
So basically, they're like the Michelin Guide of taste.
Pretty much.
No wonder Kungfood is making such a buzz.
Yeah, they're killing it.
And it's not just one or two products.
Right.
They have a whole range of flavors, from classic shallot to spicy Sichuan pepper, and even vegan options.
Oh, yeah. They've got something for everyone.
It seems like that's part of their strategy.
I think so.
Offering something for everyone.
Yeah, which is smart if they want to break into a market as diverse as the U.S.
Right.
But appealing to a wide audience is just one piece of the puzzle.
For sure.
They also need to make sure people know about them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which brings us to their marketing and expansion plans.
Right.
And speaking of reaching a wider audience.
Yes.
They've got a pretty cool brand ambassador.
Oh, yeah. Who is it?
Taiwanese TV host Dennis Nye.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And he's not just a face on a poster.
No.
He actually features Kungfood products on his YouTube cooking channel.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really smart.
Right.
A great way to introduce these flavors to a broader audience.
Totally. Especially people who might be new to Taiwanese cuisine.
Exactly.
Because he's got this built-in audience of food enthusiasts.
Yeah, who are already open to trying new things.
Right, exactly. And it seems like they're actively going after the U.S. market.
It does seem that way.
They were at the Fancy Food Show in New York, and they even had a supplier meeting with Costco in Seattle.
Wow, they're really making moves.
They are.
And there's this interesting suggestion in our sources that they should focus on Arizona as a potential entry point.
Oh, because of the growing Taiwanese community there, thanks to TSMC's investment?
Exactly.
Yeah, that sounds like a really strategic move.
It is. Leveraging those existing networks could give them a real advantage.
Yeah, for sure.
They could build brand loyalty within a community that already knows and loves these flavors.
Right.
And then expand outward.
Makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Okay, before we move on, we have to talk about the name.
Oh, yeah.
Kungfood.
Mm.
Come on, it's brilliant.
It is pretty catchy
It is.
and playful,
Right.
which can be very effective, especially for a Western audience.
Cool.
But do you think it might be a little too on the nose?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's definitely catchy,
It is.
but maybe a little gimmicky.
Yeah, maybe a little.
But, I mean, it does perfectly capture that fusion
It does.
of their Taiwanese heritage and their global ambitions.
Yeah, it does. And that fusion is really at the heart of what makes them so interesting.
It is.
They're not just trying to replicate traditional Taiwanese flavors.
Right.
They're innovating, experimenting.
Creating something new.
Exactly, while still staying true to their roots.
Okay, so we've got high-quality ingredients, award-winning taste, a diverse product line,
Yep.
a clever marketing strategy,
Uh-huh.
and a name that starts conversations.
For sure.
So far, Kungfood seems to have all the right stuff for success.
They do.
But are they really poised to become the next big thing in Asian food?
That's the big question.
It is. What are your thoughts?
Well, they're definitely making all the right moves.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that really stood out to me was their emphasis on those unique ingredients.
Okay.
We've talked about the goose oil,
Right.
but they're also using things like mullet roe and bamboo salt.
Yeah,
How do you think those will play with a mainstream American audience?
that's a great question. We know they're delicious and have cultural significance,
Right.
but are they ready for prime time on American supermarket shelves?
Exactly.
Let's dig into those intriguing ingredients in the next part of our deep dive.
Yeah, those ingredients are definitely interesting.
Yeah.
Like the mullet roe,
Mm-hmm.
it's a delicacy in Taiwan, you know,
Oh, wow.
known for its rich, almost creamy texture and that umami flavor.
Okay, I'll be honest, I've never tried it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know it's popular in some Asian cuisines, but
It is.
what does it actually taste like?
Yeah, good question.
Is it super fishy?
Well, it does have like a distinct oceanic flavor,
Okay.
but it's not overwhelmingly fishy.
Okay.
It's more of a savory, slightly salty note
I see.
that adds depth and complexity to dishes.
Okay.
And the way Kungfood is using it in their sauces sounds really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, imagine that richness paired with their noodles.
Mhm.
It's like a flavor explosion waiting to happen.
Okay, now you're making me hungry. And then there's the bamboo salt. Right?
I've heard of Himalayan pink salt, but
Mhm.
bamboo salt is new to me.
Yeah.
What's so special about it?
Well, the process is fascinating.
Okay.
They take sea salt and roast it inside bamboo tubes
Oh, wow.
over an open fire.
Interesting.
So not only does that infuse the salt with minerals from the bamboo,
Mm-hmm.
but it also gives it this subtle, smoky flavor that adds another layer of complexity to their dishes.
Wow. That's incredible.
It is.
It's amazing how much thought and care they put into sourcing these ingredients.
Yeah, it's not just about following a recipe.
Right.
It's about preserving a culinary tradition.
Exactly. And I think that really resonates with consumers these days,
I think so too.
especially people who are looking for authentic experiences.
Yeah, authenticity is huge.
People are so much more interested in where their food comes from now.
Mm-hmm.
The stories behind the ingredients,
For sure.
the cultural heritage they represent.
It's like each ingredient is a little window into a different culture,
Yeah.
a different way of life. I like that. And speaking of cultural experiences,
Yes.
some of those frozen food options seem particularly adventurous,
I do.
especially that spicy duck blood soup.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Do you think that's something that will appeal to a wider American audience?
It's definitely a dish that pushes boundaries.
Yeah,
Duck blood isn't exactly a common ingredient in Western cuisine,
it's not.
and the texture can be a little off-putting for some.
I could see that.
But for those who are willing to step outside their comfort zone,
Yeah,
it can be a really unique and flavorful experience.
true.
And who knows, maybe Kungfood will be the brand to introduce duck blood to the masses.
Maybe they'll be the next big food trendsetter.
Yeah, it's happened before.
Right, like kimchi and gochujang.
Exactly what was once considered exotic is now totally mainstream.
And Kung Food seems to be striking that balance
They are.
between tradition and innovation,
Yeah.
pushing the boundaries just enough to intrigue people
Oh.
without alienating them.
Exactly.
Speaking of pushing boundaries,
Yeah.
let's circle back to that Arizona expansion strategy.
Okay.
Targeting a niche market like the Taiwanese community there makes sense,
It does.
but do you think they'll face any challenges in appealing to a broader American audience?
Well, as we've discussed, some of their ingredients might require a bit of education.
Right.
They'll need to find ways to introduce these flavors to consumers who may not be familiar with them.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe highlight the health benefits of goose oil,
Okay.
the unique taste and texture of mullet roe,
Mm-hmm.
the smoky depth of bamboo salt.
Right. And maybe some strategic partnerships could help too.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Like imagine if they teamed up with a popular food blogger or chef
Okay.
to create recipes using their products.
That's a great idea.
Right.
Yeah, that could really demystify those more unusual ingredients and
Uh-huh.
show people how to incorporate them into their everyday cooking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Make those flavors more approachable.
Yeah.
And show people how versatile they can be.
And let's not forget about the power of social media.
Oh,
They could use platforms like Instagram and TikTok to showcase those beautiful dishes,
yeah.
the vibrant colors,
Yeah.
the enticing textures.
Right. It's all about creating a visual and sensory experience.
Exactly, one that draws people in.
And maybe even some behind-the-scenes content.
Oh, yeah.
Showing the traditional methods they use.
I love
The
that.
craftsmanship that goes into their products.
Yeah.
It's about telling a story,
Mm-hmm.
building a connection,
Right.
creating a sense of trust with consumers.
Exactly. It's not just about selling a product. It's
Right.
about sharing a culture,
Mm-hmm.
a heritage,
Yeah.
a passion for food.
And speaking of passion,
Yes.
we can't forget about Dennis Nghi.
Right. Their brand ambassador.
His involvement goes beyond just lending his name to the brand.
It does.
He's actively engaging with his audience,
He is.
showing them how to use Kung Food products in their own kitchens.
That's so smart.
It's like having a personal chef guide you through the experience.
And that kind of personal touch can be incredibly effective.
Yeah.
Especially in today's digital age,
Right.
where consumers are bombarded with information and choices.
So much stuff.
It helps to have a trusted voice,
Yeah.
someone who genuinely believes in the product
Right.
and can articulate its value.
And Dennis Nghi definitely fits the bill.
He does.
He's charismatic, knowledgeable,
Yeah.
and passionate about food.
He's not just selling a product.
Yeah.
He's sharing his love of Taiwanese cuisine with the world.
And that kind of authenticity is priceless.
It is.
But let's not forget about the elephant in the room.
Oh, yeah.
The name.
Selling food.
We've talked about how catchy and playful it is.
Right.
But does it run the risk of being seen as a caricature of Asian culture?
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
It's a fine line between being memorable and being disrespectful.
Right.
It's definitely a conversation worth having,
Yeah.
especially as they expand into new markets.
Mm-hmm.
They'll need to be mindful of cultural sensitivities and make sure their branding is both engaging and respectful.
For sure. And it's not just about the name.
Right.
It's about the overall message they're sending.
Exactly.
They need to make sure their marketing materials, their packaging,
Yeah.
even the way they present their products are all aligned with their values of authenticity, quality, and cultural respect.
I agree. It's a lot to consider.
It is.
But it's clear they're putting a lot of thought and effort into their expansion strategy.
Yeah.
They're not just chasing trends. They're building a brand with a strong foundation, a clear vision, and a commitment to sharing their culinary heritage with the world.
And that's what makes them so exciting to watch.
It is.
They're not just another food company.
Nope.
They're pioneers.
Pushing boundaries.
Challenging perceptions.
And inviting us all to embark on a culinary adventure.
Yeah, it really feels like they're at the forefront of something special.
Definitely.
More than just, a product.
Right. It's about opening people's minds and palates to something new.
Exactly. But let's take a step back for a second.
Okay.
And think about what this all means for our listeners out there.
Good point. We have covered a lot.
We have from goose oil and those award-winning noodles to their marketing and that super catchy name.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride.
So what are the key takeaways here?
Well, I think it's safe to say that Kungfood is a company to watch.
Yeah, for sure.
They're innovative, they're passionate, and they're not afraid to push the envelope.
And they're doing all of that while staying true to their Taiwanese roots.
Exactly. It's a great example of how a company can really embrace its heritage and still appeal to a global audience.
Totally. It's that balance of tradition and innovation that makes them so interesting.
It really does.
But I'm curious, what do you think their biggest challenge will be as they try to make it in the American market?
That's a tough one. They seem to have a lot going for them.
They do?
But if I had to pick one, I'd say education. Yeah, like think about it. Goose oil isn't exactly a staple in most American pantries.
True.
And some of their other products, like that spicy duck blood soup, might be a little too out there for the average person.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
So how do they bridge that gap?
I think by telling their story really well.
Okay.
Like highlighting the health benefits of goose oil,
Right.
explaining that unique taste and texture of mullet roe, and demystifying those ingredients that might seem exotic.
Right. It's about making the unfamiliar feel approachable and exciting.
Exactly.
Maybe they could offer recipe suggestions or pairing ideas.
Ooh, yeah.
Or even some educational content about Taiwanese cuisine and its history.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, help consumers understand the context behind these ingredients and how to use them in their own cooking.
And maybe even give people a behind-the-scenes look at their production process.
Oh, yeah.
Showcase the craftsmanship and tradition.
Right. It's all about transparency, building trust, and making that connection with the consumer. Okay, so we've talked about their potential, their challenges, and everything in between.
Yeah, we've covered it all.
But before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Okay, fire away.
We've talked a lot about this idea of authenticity.
We have.
But it's a tricky concept, isn't it?
It really is, especially when it comes to food.
Right. Recipes and traditions are always changing and adapting.
They are.
So where do we draw the line?
Yeah. Is it about sticking exactly to a traditional recipe?
Or is there room for interpretation and evolution?
And what happens when the dish travels across borders and cultures?
Does it become something new? A fusion of influences?
It's a fascinating question.
It is, with no easy answers.
Yep.
But I think it's worth considering
Definitely.
as we explore new cuisines and expand our culinary horizons.
I agree. At the end of the day, it's about appreciating the diversity of flavors and traditions that exist in the world and being open to new experiences.
Absolutely well said. So, to our listeners out there, if you ever come across a bowl of Kung Food noodles, don't hesitate to give them a try.
Do it.
You might just discover your new favorite food.
You never know.
And who knows, maybe you'll even be inspired to explore the world of Taiwanese cuisine and find a whole new world of flavor.
That's what we love about food, right?
It is a journey of discovery,
A celebration of culture.
and a delicious adventure.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Until next time, happy eating, everyone.